Everybody, welcome back to the Beyond the Peloton podcast. I'm Spencer Martin, author of the Beyond the Peloton newsletter. I'm here, as always, with Andrew Vontz from the Choose the Hard Way podcast, the Always the Hard Way newsletter, coming live from the Dana-Farber Institute in Boston, or your local clinic. Where are we coming from?
I'm in neither of those. I'm in South Portland, Maine, at an oncology infusion center right now. And I'm on round 6 of chemo. Spencer, here we are.
How are you doing?
I mean, take a look at me. More handsome than ever.
Thriving, for sure, with the goatee.
Yeah, I'm not sure why my hair is starting to grow back and why I have a goatee. I have to attribute it, at least in part, to having cobra blood flowing through my veins. And as the facial hair came back, I don't know if this is going to be here very long. Once I complete this, I do go to Dana-Farber in early September, and then I go through 3 consecutive days of chemo before beginning my Ninja Turtles gene therapy. I will be down in Boston for roughly 3 weeks. I may be doing some live sessions from the courtyard of the Homewood Suites, and I think I remember the name of the neighborhood, Longview. No, Longview is outside of Kansas
a room
City.
In there right now.
Yeah, I think you and JK should probably come out. We could have a content fiesta down there in the courtyard. I'm right next to the T. And while the facial hair is here, I felt like I needed to do some facial hair stunt work. And that's what we've got today. It may not be long for this world, but this world is long for it.
I just looked up a Homewood Suites in Boston. I'm shocked at the price.
Yeah,
this is crazy. Whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty
Holy
wild.
Smokes.
Yeah, every hotel in
But
Boston.
You got to pay
kind of
for
crazy.
that. You know, you want to be in a city like that with that type of weather and that type of nightlife. It's just going to cost money, you know? And how'd you get to Portland? Did you drive yourself or did someone drive you?
A friend from my Sangha drove me down here. I can't drive home from this
all day and then drive you home.
Yeah. Yeah. So this day is about, going to be probably around 15 hours door to door. We drive down from Hope to Portland, which is roughly 2 hours, then do all the appointments, get the infusion. You have some pre-medications before you get the infusion. Then you get the infusion. Then you go home. And with this bridging therapy I'm on, there are potentially neurological side effects. The doctor's favorite thing to do. This happened when I was at Dana-Farber last week. He always says, for example, you might not know that this is a pen, and holds the pen up. I'm like, dude, I want to write you some new lines. I get it. But that's just kind of the standard one. Anyway, I can operate a motor vehicle after this, but that's fine.
Yeah, which is probably good. Probably a good policy. Very, very kind of your friend to drive you. Very nice thing to do.
Yeah, completely. And how about you? Are you feeling fresh after your time in Europe?
Oh, yeah. Feeling so fresh. Flying back with the kids. It is shocking what because I flew back from Europe in early July for the tour. It's easy. Come with the kids. I feel I'm like Matt Damon in the Odyssey. I'm falling apart. It's not been an easy flight back home. You feel the extra time. Flew Rome to Denver direct. Oof, it's like hours before you even get to London. And you're like, oh my Lord, this is going to be a long flight. But we made it and we're here. Kind of an awkward amount of time between the tour and the Vuelta this year. Maybe it's always this long, but it feels like we are just sitting waiting for this Vuelta. And as usual, I'm not totally dialed in on the Vuelta route. And I don't know if you've heard, Andrew, but the big news around these parts, Tadej Pogačar is racing the Vuelta España. You have to imagine he's going to win it. And you'd have to imagine he'll become the ninth person, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ninth rider to win all 3 Grand Tours. Do you think that's likely?
I think it's likely. I was looking at the list of riders in the modern era who have won all 3. I know that I'm now going to forget one of them, but we have Froome, Nibali, and who's the third person?
Oh, a stud. You're forgetting Alberto Contador.
Oh, Contador. Yeah. It's an interesting
and Jonas,
collection
who just did it this year.
Yes, interesting collection of riders. Speaking of Jonas, the news today that he's not going to be racing for the rest of the year. He's going to be hand cutting tile for his bathroom floor to rehabilitate his collarbone. Like you, Spencer, I'm a little bit tuned out. People talk about brain fog because they've eaten a potato or something. I have brain fog from the chemotherapy that's actively going into my body right now. Jonas, did he have another race day following the tour? Am I imagining this? Did he do a race?
No, this year.
No, because there was a quote from him during the tour of Denmark, which I'm like, there's no way he raced that. And then today he announces he's gone, his collarbone. There've been a lot of people who've come back from pretty complex collarbone fractures. I think that he's cooked. The fact he's not coming back, I think that speaks well for what might happen for Jonas in 2027.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring this up because you can come back from an extremely complex collarbone fracture very fast. I mean, these guys, they can be on the bike 2-3 days later. Like, you break your collarbone, get surgery the next day. You can be riding at least on the indoor trainer the next day or the day after that, and then outdoors like the next week. They are very aggressive at getting back on the bike. We've kind of got the collarbone thing down. The fact that he's not, I guess there's not a lot left for him to do. I'm just looking at the races he's done after the tour usually, but he usually does one classic like Lombardia or World Championships, or he'll oddly do what he usually does, a stage race. Like one year he did the Crow race, one year he did the Tour of Poland, last year he did the Vuelta, obviously. I do kind of wonder, like, do we not see him again? Like, what's the future here for Jonas? Like, because if you don't want to be at the races and you don't want to be at training camp, what does that leave for you as a professional cyclist?
Yes, those are good questions. I also, when I read that news, I did think, because the immediate thought I had was, this hasn't been a successful season for Jonas. Then I looked at his Palmares for this year, and I thought, man, this dude,
won almost every race he's done.
This guy had a pretty good year. And out of the gate, he always looks so good in the spring before he has a catastrophic injury. Before we go deeper on that, Spence, I did want to ask, you mentioned the direct flight back, Rome to DIA. Was that a nonstop, or did you have a stop
nonstop
somewhere?
Very long. I guess, but Rome was, if we really want to dive into the itinerary, Rome was the stop. Flew Torino to Rome. Very easy flight. Recommend it.
Got it.
And then Rome back to Denver.
When you're on a nonstop like that, how is the struggle around keeping the kids in the lie flat seats, like making sure they don't go out of their pods with their drones, toys?
The Mega Rex, the Megalodon, what do they call that? The Monster Jam toys. It's an issue. My son is like almost a freaky ability, a Jonas-esque ability too. He can just sit there and watch. Like, he can dial in, and you could fly to Tokyo with the guy and you wouldn't even know he's in the seat next to you. Like, once he's on the plane, he's locked in. Daughter is a bit more whimsical, high stress, you'd say, but she was Spidey and Friends worked. This is the first trip where she's been able to digest shows, like fictional shows,
right?
But it's been tough in the past. But yeah, just shower them with content, and they'll tune out, they'll numb out, and the hardest thing is when you land, because then everyone feels like absolute shit. And it's not like, oh, the bags aren't here. Oh, we got to wait around and file a bag claim. And that's when the wheels start to fall off.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
They've got the bags back today, by the way. A little over a week later. Yeah, got the Groove team bike safe and secure at home. Can't lose that thing.
Yeah. Groove should probably be paying you a reverse sponsorship fee. Like, there should just be like something private. Every time that bike goes in a Pica bag, there should be a commission, I think, and it goes in that bag frequently. On the topic of entertainment other than professional cycling, I have my dad staying with me, and like a lot of people of his generation, he is a streaming consumption machine. Often,
dude,
he's
what
like
is going on with that generation?
A lot of time trying to find something new to watch, and then I enjoy spending some viewing time with my dad. It's always kind of fun and funny. We'll turn something on after a very long, who gets to control the remote, him giving me a little bit of coaching about how to get to the show that we want, having, just limited experience on my end of navigating streaming services. Then we'll get going. Typically, we might get 2 or 3 episodes deep, and then it'll be like 18 minutes into episode 4, and he'll say, I think I've watched this before. Do you want me to shut it off, Dad? No, that's okay. Just keep going. But he started Reacher season 4 last night. I have never watched Reacher. I will say, for me, it passed the bar of moderately entertaining. The episode began, I feel like there's so many shows like this now that start with like a very graphic depiction of suicide. And it's like, okay, this is like the
Dark
15th show.
On Netflix would be the great example of that. Just first scene. You're like, I don't know if I needed that.
Yeah, I've never seen Reacher before. I know a lot of very tough people. And this kind of, obviously it's just a TV show. I think a lot of people believe like a cartoon superhero person that can do Reacher-esque stuff exists in real life. And I guess I'm stating something obvious. Like a lot of people have a fantasy of being a person like that, but it's just kind of funny. It's so implausible. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Spencer,
a great actor to play that role, though.
We sit down with Dan Swinson. We're getting a tableside salsa. We don't go for the guac. We don't have cash for the tips. And then somebody takes the entire restaurant hostage. Dan gets up and he fights everyone off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I digress. The Jonas thing, weird. I think something that's not getting talked about enough is Primoz at this Vuelta. He'll be back. I don't think that we're going to be seeing the telemark on the podium this year. Kind of sad to me. And maybe Primoz's last Vuelta, although I feel like this could be a guy that goes deep.
He's going long.
like beyond Valverde. I don't think he's going gravel at 43. I think we might see Primoz racing into his early 60s.
Well, I'm glad you bring this up. I do think Primoz, the sensations are not good. I think he maybe was like in a training accident. So even if everything was going great, that's not a great lead into the Vuelta. See, the open secret in cycling is the guy's just not been that good for a while. Right. Like if you think about going all the way back to he crashes out of the Giro last year. He was looking pretty good. He goes to the Tour. He's kind of publicly pouting, which is like never great. Doesn't want to work for Lipowitz. Is wearing short socks. He kind of has a lackluster start to the year this year. Like, when's the last time he won a stage race? Was it, I'm scrolling through, his Volta Catalunya in 2025. And I don't think he's going to be contesting the Volta. But here's the interesting question for you, Andrew. Big debate on Set of the Move. Those guys, the legends, Lance, Bradley, George, they're saying, with this training these days, we're going to see a lot of early retirements because it's so hard to be a pro cyclist. I actually would argue the opposite, that not eating food and riding, like Bradley was talking about these rides he do where he'd basically starve himself and ride the circumference of Mallorca, and they just do that day after day after day. That's probably harder for you and more mentally defeating than being a well-fed person and training really hard. And then the harder you train, the more calories you burn, so it's easier to stay at your weight. You're not having to make the sacrifices these guys made because you're actually training intelligently and not just eating the crusts of bread and not throwing the middle out, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, which
have to hollow it out.
Everybody in that generation did. I think it's going to extend careers. I don't know if you're going to see guys winning later, especially Grand Tours, but look at the data we have. Guys are not retiring. But look, Julian Alaphilippe is still out there. Hasn't been competitive for a while. Think of Warren Barguil, Primoz Roglic. I think the money has gotten so big on these contracts. It's like, what do they say in law? It's like, stay in the corner office until the bastards throw you out. Like, that's what it's going to be like here, where no one's ever going to voluntarily retire because the money's so high. You don't have to be winning. You just kind of hang around, become part of the furniture. Do you agree or disagree on that?
The question
John Degenkolb is a pro, by the way. Yeah. Just before you answer this question.
Wow. Yeah. I think the question mark is, at this point, we don't know the second and third order consequences of being on these super high carbohydrate diets for, like, let's say a decade. We've speculated about this a bit in the past. We may have speculated at Abandon Your Family Live from Pace Ranch early in 2026. And if you're wondering, no, that's not what gave me cancer. It was a great trip. We had a lot of fun.
Thank you for addressing those allegations.
Yes, Spencer, I know this is way heavy on you. It wasn't our time at Pace Ranch. What happens when I saw that Uno X nutritionist was on a podcast recently. I think Stanley Street, I don't remember, whatever it's called, the Australian one with the Australian rules football guy and Luke Plapp. Or is it Luke Plapp?
Luke Plapp, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's quite good. I enjoy that show. I mean, the Uno X plan is like you're just eating a bag of sugar 8 times a day. And in fact, there's an American ultra cyclist who just graduated from Dartmouth. Lael Wilcox, I think, is in her own category. I think she's the greatest of all time among ultra cyclists, pretty demonstrably. This young man, I think his name is Almond Bond. I may have gotten his first name wrong. The NFL has hired him to just kind of provide a smooth landing after 4 rough years at an elite Ivy League institution. He's now riding a football to every NFL stadium, and he keeps posting about how the volume of sugar he's consuming is completely ruined his teeth. I think he had like 15 cavities last year. On this ride, he's written about he can like feel cavities starting to develop. I posted because in the early 2000s, I certainly wasn't eating as many carbohydrates then as people eat now, but I was training a lot. I was probably doing 300 to 350 mile weeks at that point in time, and I was having some problems with my choppers. I told my dentist what was going on, and she said, well, sugar is one thing. When you combine sugar with electrolyte drinks, sugar and salt together react in a particularly bad way in your mouth, and it makes you much more susceptible to getting cavities. And what you can do prophylactically is you just bring a bottle of water. You couldn't bring the water from my house because it's well water and it doesn't have fluoride. But if you're living in a city such as Boulder and you're not filtering out fluoride, because we all know this is some MK Ultra shit. This is like, it's mind control, right? But if you just swish with some water with fluoride and bring along some gum, because if you chew gum, it stimulates saliva, which actually is good for your oral hygiene and the bacterial environment in your mouth, you can negate some of the impact of all of that sugar. Why I'm mentioning this is I really wonder, and there are not large sample size studies, but there are a number of studies now about long distance runners' gut health and some pretty negative health consequences of consuming a diet super high in refined carbohydrate. Competitive cycling is not healthy for you at all, probably in the long run. I think with the new nutritional programs, I'm just wondering if even in the course of 10 to 12 years in a pro career, if we might start seeing athletes have metabolic health issues related to these diets, because you really shouldn't be eating that way for probably like not much at all, and certainly not for the duration they are within the scope of a year.
Well, yeah, that's probably true. I mean, what's weird about the gum is if you look closely after every stage and before every stage, these guys are all chewing a ton of gum. I wonder if that plays into what trying to keep those chompers healthy. I mean, currently, if you meet a lot of top tier, like legend level pro cyclists over the age of 50, a lot of them not doing that well physically. But no, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to speculate on why that is, but we can just probably assume it's not the healthiest career path for you. Whether or not you're slamming sugar, I personally don't consume sugar on the bike because I am worried about those teeth. I don't want those teeth to disappear on me.
Oh, go ahead.
So do you think Tad is going to win the Vuelta?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't make this very spicy or provide a contrarian point of view. I think he's definitely going to win.
I want to know if you knew this. So Wout van Aert's doing the race. I think Ted is going to win. I think it's going to be like a fight between Oscar Onley and Phil Skull for second and third place, probably. Wout van Aert's doing it. Quite curious to see how he does. I assume he'll be contesting the points jersey.
Right.
And did you know Mads Pedersen is at this race?
Mads is certainly earning his keep this year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I can't believe he's doing this. But, and you know, we went back and forth on this a bunch. Like Lance Armstrong cannot wrap his head around anyone of any significance wanting to do the Vuelta, but it really only makes sense if your thought process is, I do the tour, I'm done with the tour, and I'm done, my season's done. Where it's like Mads has probably aspirations to try to win the world championships. It's not probably likely, but you know, who knows how you don't know how these one-off courses are going to play out. We didn't think Greg Van Avermaet would win in Rio. Maybe Mads has a chance. And there's probably other races he wants to win. So then you're asking yourself, would I rather be at a training camp or be at the Vuelta where I'm essentially training for worlds or races later in the year and getting to contest races, which is probably more fun for most people than riding around on a volcano, which we know Mads doesn't even enjoy doing. And you're getting that free food. You cannot forget that part, that you're just racking up $100 a day, at least, in free food. Not to mention the gels and the bars, which we know can add up for these guys. But
I'm
shocked.
Per diem alone, he's probably trading those gels on the secondary market. I think that's the category on the feed, the pre-owned section. I think I saw an influencer. Spencer, can you explain to me, because you're in Boulder and you probably see more of this than I do, what is going on with ultra runners who now they wear a face mask when they're running, which just looks extremely uncomfortable to me. Is this like a tribute to ice? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny you mentioned that. I just saw someone this morning with a face mask on running. I was like, that's kind of a weird thing to do. But yeah, like, are these N95s, we think? Or are they heavier duty than that?
I think it's a Gorkor by / Japanese streetwear kind of thing. Like, it's just, I guess, like, there's purely aesthetics.
Two possible things. I mean, do they think they can are people doing this in competition or in training?
I think they mainly do it on Instagram.
So I guess you could restrict your intake, and then, like, can you dial back the air you can breathe? And then it's like you're training at altitude.
I don't think it's an air you breathe thing.
We should also say the air quality is quite bad nearly anywhere you would be training as a ultra marathoner. So maybe it's a way to, like, filter out basically wildfire.
Hey, I know you.
Crap.
Yeah. Well,
one more time, honey.
Sorry, Spencer.
Even birthday. One more time. Sorry.
Andrew Vontz, 927.75.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
My counter to that would be, if you wanted to do anything that was positive for your health, probably the number one thing you would do is you would not be an ultra runner.
Well, I have like a strategy for kind of dealing with the ultra running community is I just forget it exists.
Fair enough. I feel like
I don't participate in the ultra running discourse. I kind of forget, is Anton Krupicka, is he still out there running around?
He became a gravel cyclist, I think.
Whoa. Well, you heard about these contracts getting handed out. But speaking of gravel cycling, Andrew, did you watch the Leadville Lifetime Grand Prix, Leadville 100, presented by whoever they're presented by this weekend?
I can tell you because I heard the title sponsorship so many times. It was Lifetime. They used to be Mazda. Now it's Ford Broncos doing some aggressive greenwashing. They gave out some Strider bikes. I have to tell you, I just started on the chemo bag. This chemo you can really physically feel going into your body. It's like hot magma.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's okay.
Just like
it's doing its job.
On brand for chemo. What's the guy who runs Lifetime? Chemo.
Oh,
Seymour?
Yeah. Chemo Seymour. Yeah, Chemo Seymour. Different kind of chemo. But I did watch the live stream. 90% of it, I watched what I could of the race. Maybe 10% of the live stream was racing, and then 90% was ad reads.
I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I think I missed the first, because it started at 6 a.m. Turn it on at like 6:30, and I was confused. I couldn't tell which group was which for hours.
It was very confusing. I think the biggest question is, how could that race have happened You got Quinn there, one end of the little trek continuum, who did a 111-mile, I believe, mountain bike ride with 11,000 feet of climbing 3 days before the race, and then got totally shelled, predictably, after having done that level of effort a few days before the race, and then seemed aggrieved and said, like, I'll be back, or, that was kind of strange. My question is, where are Mods and Jonathan Milan? Should have been there to support their teammate back in America. Like, you want to get your sponsor value, you take your World Tour riders, you get them to Leadville, right?
Yeah, and it is rude of them not to go, I do think Quinn should think about a lawsuit, perhaps, against the team for them not supporting him there. How did he not... What went wrong for him? Did he just get dropped? I know there was like a rider away and there was a chase group, and then riders from that chase group were then in the front group. Did he just not make that junction?
I wish I had written it down. His quote was very good. I thought he said something like, we got to a hill and they rode their bikes faster than me.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, something like that.
Perfect. Sums it up.
I mean, it does. That's what happens. Stars, they're just like us, And Kip on Gates Pass. Next time we're down there, we're never going to forget this moment. I think at the top of Gates Pass, there should be an Iwo Jima style memorial of Kip dropping me and getting on the wheel of, I think he got behind a box truck or something. He has such a good draft. He was going like 32 miles an hour up that road. I think if we can get a pretty large scale sculpture commemorating that moment at the lookout at the top, it would be appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll have USADA look into this.
Yeah.
Essentially what is motor doping? Very serious allegation that we need to have looked into. I mean, if people didn't watch it, on the men's race, Keegan Swenson won, which isn't a surprise because he wins every year. What's surprising is this guy, Matthew Wilson, 24-year-old from New Zealand, same time, loses on a sprint finish to Keegan. I know, I don't know. I don't follow Leadville that closely. I know there's climbs. There's Powerline, Columbine. There's these climbs like that. And one of them was not in the race this year, maybe Powerline.
Right.
But, people were like, oh, that's why it was close. But how do we know that Matthew Wilson wouldn't have dropped Keegan if there was another climb? I mean, this guy is so impressive. He won the final day of Tulsa Tough, despite, I believe, having never raced a criterium before. And racing it on his gravel bike a week after Unbound. So, 24 to be doing that is really impressive, because Keegan's probably fully baked at this point. He's 32 years old.
Yeah.
He's as good as he's going to be. And then,
oh my God,
John Gaston, he's just like, he's my age. He's like a local.
Okay. John, he has an absurd number of top 10 finishes at Leadville. He's finished as high as second. He's I believe he's a professional ski-mo racer, which means he's probably doing carpentry or something in the off season. He lives in Aspen. And
is he the one that got hit last year at Leadville?
He's the one who had the incident in the pit last year. Yes. Yeah. It was one of a great moment. Yeah. He gets fourth place just coming off the bench to go do Leadville. I wanted to ask you about Matt Wilson. My spidey sense is tingling. I just have this feeling that there may be somebody out there who noticed what he pulled off at Tulsa Tough, looked at his Palmares and this Leadville ride and thought, gosh, I think that this guy could be pretty effective at the World Tour. And I have a feeling maybe we see him. He's 24. Matt Beers, another big gravel pro, was a stagiaire at UAE. He wasn't about that life. He's much older than Matt. I feel like Matt's going to the World Tour. What do you think?
I mean, he should be going. I mean, to do what he's doing is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Kind of old, though, for a World Tour team. He'd be like, 24. By the time we get him up to speed, he's 27, and then he's too old to compete. Yeah. I don't think that's true, but that is how people think. And then a lot of World Tour teams wouldn't consider this to be a real race. My question for you, though, is Quinn Simmons pretty strong. If he's getting dropped, how good are these guys? How much should we read into this? Because I do think you're right that someone probably should look at Matt Wilson. Also, who knows what he's making right now? Maybe he's making more than the equivalent contract on a World Tour team would be. So it's not worth his time. But I don't know. I would tell him maybe consider making that switch, because I think he could be pretty good at any type of racing he wants to do, considering what he's done this year and how talented he seems to be. But what do you make of this? Like Quinn Simmons, because we kept having this question sent in on my other show all winter last year. It's like, Tadej and Jonas and Van der Poel and Van Aert showed up to Leadville, how would they do? Would Keegan beat them? It's like, obviously that's unknowable. Like, what do you call that? The Wolverine versus, it's like Wolverine, DC versus Marvel superhero fights. Like, well, we don't really know, because there's a lot of unknowns. And would they really prepare for it? Probably not, because it's right after the tour. Right. They'd be tired. But probably if Tadej Pogačar wanted to be good at any cycling discipline, he could probably be pretty good at it and do things we thought were impossible. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like these guys are cooking up there at the front. I would read into that. I would probably read seriously into how well Matt Wilson seems to be doing.
Definitely Matt. And with Quinn just came off the tour, and it sounded like he hadn't really done much structured training. And of course, he has to focus on winning the shootout sprint. It's unlikely. He didn't do a big program to train up for this. He's living at altitude in the United States. He's not living at 10,000 feet, 12,000 feet, right? When you get to that altitude, completely different ball game. And all of the hitters in the Gravelverse are living in team houses and having Alan Lim cooked meals, etc. for the month, really like for a month. They have to, maybe more than a month, 6 weeks. They're going to extreme altitude, or they're going up to greater and greater altitude in increments until they're acclimated to Leadville altitude, and they're all doing heat training on top of that. And yeah, I don't think we're seeing a peak Quinn Simmons and Keegan Swenson. Like, this is like absolute peak form. Tadej also raced cyclocross growing up and is quite good riding off-road, shockingly. You might have heard of cyclist Wout van Aert. Turns out he's pretty good at riding a bike off-road as well.
Professional mountain biker. Probably would do pretty well to mountain bike race.
Yeah, won the double Von 2 stage. Could he do this if he, for example, retired from the sport and then decided, I'm going to stay on 3 million euros a year with the pod group, and I'm going to race the Santa Cruz mountain bike next year and like go do a couple of events? Not like in a Peter Sagan, we're having a casual 10 to 12 beers before the event kind of way, but more of a, I'm actually going to show up and be competitive. I think that you're
describing my Mount Lemon preparation.
I was there when the DoorDash dropped off the supplies. I was like,
just give me the Sagan special. All right.
Yeah, I thought it was like a Breaking Bad thing. It's, what are these people doing here? They had 2 infants in the car. It's like, yeah.
And they're calling me. They're like, there's no one there. We can't drop it off. I'm like, there's someone there. Do not leave that house without dropping those beers off.
The Keegan victory was impressive. Part of what was super weird about the broadcast, and it's just a marketing expense for them. I suppose we should be happy we get to see any of it, because they don't have to show it to us. Although they're getting a lot of ad surface area over the 6 or 7 hours of that live stream to talk over and over about those sponsors. Matt Wilson and Keegan go into the finale alone. They don't have a lot of time over the people chasing them. It was 24 seconds over group 2. And they came into the final straight away. The way it was described didn't make any sense. Verbally, what they described, I thought, okay, they have some downhill section, then it's going to flatten out, and then the sprint will start. It was a tight shot from the helicopter, and then suddenly it was maybe 10 meters to the finish, and Keegan just like did an acceleration and came around Matt and won the race. I had a very hard time following the finish. That's not a knock on Lifetime. I noticed during the Tour de France Femmes, there was a stage where the finale was I think the entire final kilometer was on a beautiful tree-lined street. They look like they're probably, I'm going to guess, 100-plus-year-old trees, very tall, big trees. You couldn't see anything at all.
Cut them down for the race. Yeah, no, this is a big problem with these tree-lined streets. You can't see a single thing when they're finishing. I mean, we should also say, this preparation is intense for these races. Like Keegan's probably living at, because what's the lowest elevation? It's probably 11,000 feet is the lowest you ever get at Leadville. So you're up super high a lot of the time. And I think if you're an ex-pro, I don't think that's appealing. If their altitude camps that they're doing are way more cush than the altitude camps these guys are doing. Because, you read this piece in The Athletic. They're hanging out and everyone complains about these places, but you have quite a few amenities. You're close to an airport. You can ride down. You ride at sea level. You come back up. You got your little arcade. You got like anything you want at the top of these mountains. It's not like that in gravel. And then Keegan is you go back to 2023. He was a winning machine, won everything. Now it's like his preparation for Leadville is so all consuming. He kind of just wins Leadville now. Like last year he won BWR Arizona, Sea Otter, and Leadville. And then this year, this might be his first win of the year, unless I'm missing something.
He had an injury at Cape Epic. I think he got hit by a car and broke his pelvis, maybe.
At Cape Epic of this year?
Yeah. He had a pretty serious injury at the beginning of the year. And then his rehab came back from that. And his season's been a little bit funky.
And I guess if you're him too, the elimination, I don't know why that climb was eliminated, but it's not good. It definitely made the race way better because, as you said, you have two guys in the same time, and then you have a chase group right behind them. It just makes it a more compelling product. I thought it was a way better course than in years past. Andrew, any other thoughts on racing that has happened? I know you wanted to shout out your guy, your best friend, Riley Sheehan, always winning in August, September, October. I think he won the first stage of the Czech Tour. Yeah, he did. I looked it up. Little hole in our theory, he did win a race in May that we didn't notice at the time. But he does seem to win at the end of the season a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people in the past 5 years have gotten very into this term satellite rider in the breakaway. That's grown in popularity.
That's all we hear. Yeah.
Right. But I think with Riley, I want to popularize the frame of people who are shoulder season winners. That's what Riley is, right? He's kind of like, he's in shoulder season form right now. He's like the best shoulder season sprinter in the game. Where is he in the heart of the season? I'm not sure, but to see what he did in that sprint, because Ineos, that seemed like an absolutely perfect lead out to me. And, sprinting is a game of hundredths, thousandths of a second, but he just timed the acceleration just right, came out of the slipstream, had less exposure, and made it to the line first, which is, I don't know if you know this, Spencer, but when you do that, you win the race.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
Probably should have hugged that barrier a little closer. Like, don't let Riley through the left, maybe, because that was a perfect line for him. And then by the time he realized he was coming, it's too late, because if you close him off, you're going to get relegated. That's why when you come around your lead out, you always want to be hugging a barrier, so then people can only come around you one direction as opposed to having to fend two directions. But yeah, it was a super impressive win from Riley. I think if you go back to the last few days, something like 5 American wins since the end of last week, where you had Riley winning first stage of the Czech Tour and then AJ August winning 2 stages and the overall, maybe 3 stages in the overall at the what race was that? It was, holy smokes, I'm losing my mind. Not the Arctic Tour of the Norway. It was the Czech Tour. Same race, right?
Czech Tour, sure.
Unless I'm off the back. Yeah, so Czech Tour was basically the Tour of America, because we had almost every stage being won, 3 of the stages being won by Americans. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, one more win, and the first person to get 3 wins in shoulder season period who is an American, they actually get snuck onto a catering cart on an Air Force One flight, and President Trump will personally join them in the catering cart and get on a different airplane.
Yeah, we're going to do a special edition of the episode about that incident later in the off season because we do need to circle back on it.
Yeah.
But on racing that has happened, anything else? Because I got a doozy of a topic for you.
Yeah. Okay.
After this.
All right. Did Wout let his friend win?
I was just going to ask
Belgian nationals. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
His training partner, childhood friend, and what he claimed. Oh, I'm cramping up, and my friend rode off the front and won.
Right. Which seems benevolent. I do wonder if Wout is. My belief is that Wout will win Gravel Worlds and then will retire as world champion. And historically, the Belgian team is so strong and has so many riders at Gravel Worlds. It's like a bit of every man for himself, as often happens at Worlds. But I think he wants some help, either to create the winning break. Maybe, he wants him to sit on his wheel and gap him off. Like, I'm not quite sure. Does his buddy play a role at Gravel Worlds? And as usual, similar to what we saw with Pog and Del Toro now signed through 2029 at UAE? 2031. So there you go. He's not a competitor anymore, and he very well could have been.
I guess. I mean, my thought about that is if he leaves UAE, Pogačar doesn't go anywhere. Like, would you rather lose to him on your team or lose to him when he's racing against you? I'd probably rather not have him racing against me if I'm Del Toro.
Yeah, I don't think Pog's going to be around more than 3 more years.
He'll be around collecting checks somewhere.
Awesome, thank you.
For sure. Might not be winning.
Yeah, that could be true. And, if you're Del Toro, I mean, the level of support, the depth of the bench at UAE relative to anywhere else is off the charts. So I guess it makes sense to stay there. You never know who their next signing might be.
Well, also, like, let's say, I mean, Lance had a freakish ability to not have problems going into the tour at the tour. Tadej's going to have a problem. There's going to be a problem, right? It just doesn't make sense that you would have endless clean run-ins to the tour or no problems at the tour. So if you're Del Toro and there's an issue with Tadej, like, you could be winning the Tour de France, on the best team in the world.
We have to remember, though, the last time Tadej lost the tour, was it 2022?
23.
23. That's the year he had the wrist injury going into the tour. So he hasn't always had a clean run, and when he hasn't, he lost.
Yeah, and then maybe an alternate reality, Del Toro wins that one. Who knows? But
yeah,
I think it's smart to stay there. Why move? I also think Paul Sixas, I think he's probably staying at Decathlon, because why would you leave a team that's ramping up and is pretty dang good already? I just don't see what is for him on another team, and I think Decathlon can probably pay him whatever he wants, even with the penalty they have to pay, being French, to pay like 40% more salary to match the salary of other teams. Right. They'll probably do it, and I think he'll stay. But Andrew, on the topic of transfers, rumors that Richard Carapaz leaving EF.
Tricky dick. Yes.
What are your thoughts on this?
I feel like Carapaz plays the contract game maybe better than anyone in the sport of professional cycling. He delivers when it maximizes his value for the next contract, and then he tends to have a quiet period, and that quiet period can be protracted. Bringing him into a team, and you and I have talked about this in the most private of settings, but I guess I can reveal it here. There's just not a lot of opportunities to win stages at the Tour de France, and that's what every sponsor wants. Like, what they really want is the overall. Sorry, that's not likely to happen unless your team UAE, therefore, or Decathlon, if they retain Big Rich Paul Success. Therefore, you're going for scraps. And Carapaz has demonstrated that when he needs to, he can deliver those stage wins. Somewhat bizarrely with a Quintana type riding style that seemed obsolete to me going into the Tour in 2026, yet it worked. Although he could have won the first Alpe d'Huez stage as well, which we discussed.
Differently.
Right? Yeah.
It's a little addicted to the start-stop, in my opinion, sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, let's just keep going fast.
Right.
I mean, I think that style only works if you're isolating yourself with riders not as strong as you, and then you're punishing them. Obviously, if you try to do it against Tadej, you're going to be stopping off the back of Tadej. So that wouldn't make any sense, because if someone can ride at a steady pace faster than you can accelerate, you're in trouble. And so he would just have to be sprinting all out on Tadej's wheel to stay with Tadej. Unlikely to happen, but that's why he's a clever guy, right? He's not able to compete against the top guys for GC anymore. So he kind of isolates himself against slightly less good riders, even though if you go back to stage 20 of the Tour, I believe there was a breakaway of 4 riders up the road, and 3 of them were Grand Tour winners. It was Jai Hindley, Sepp Kuss, and Richard Carapaz. So good riders, but not the best Grand Tour riders, and those are the guys he can really punish with that style. I kind of don't hate the move, because he makes, let's say, 2.8 million euros a year. Sounds like a lot, but if you isolate riders that have won multiple stages at the Tour de France in recent years, that's probably one of the lowest paid riders to be able to do that. Like Olav Koy makes 3 million euros a year, and Carapaz is out producing Olav Koy. So I don't hate the contract. I think he's actually done quite well for EF, but I think the issue is EF is not willing to extend him. He wants a big extension for a lot of years, because it's probably his last contract. Yeah. And EF doesn't want to extend him past next year, which is when his contract ends. Probably, I'll just say there's a team out there that they don't do it as much anymore, but they have given big contracts to older Grand Tour winners, and that would probably be a team that he might be interested in going to. There's also these Swiss teams that have more money than there are good riders available, if that makes sense, like Pinarello and Tudor.
Right.
So this is a prime time to be a decent rider on the market. Like AJ August is going to Pinarello Q36.5, getting a lot of money because there's not that many riders on the market like him. So these Swiss teams have to scoop him up.
Spencer, you know that in the entire history of cycling, one of my favorite moments, one of my favorite topics today, and likely forever, is not Greg Van Avermaet's win in the road race 2016 Rio Olympics. It's Greg Van Avermaet's bike and kit following that victory. I have to tell you, I was a bit surprised this week to see that BMC rolled out a Fabian Cancellara commemorative gold medal road bike. I think Cancellara must have won the time trial in Rio. I'm not even going to look this up because I have one operable hand right now. The other one feels like it's on fire.
He definitely won. Yeah.
The time trial, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So they came out with a 10th anniversary commemorative road bike for him. I feel like if you're going to do that, he should just be out there on a time trial bike for perpetuity. Like that's all.
Yeah,
he
make
should
him
be
ride the
ride.
TT bike just all the time.
Yeah, it would be hilarious if BMC, they may have this, but if they launched a road e-bike and they made that his commemorative bicycle, that would be something.
That would be something. That would be
a bit of cheeky fun.
Yes. I mean, here, just to give you an example of Richard Carapaz has no sprint, has no time trial ability. So that limits your ability to win stages right there, because that's how most stages are won. He's 9th amongst all active riders in Grand Tour stage wins. The only riders ahead of him.
That's insane.
Remco Evenepoel, John Degenkolb, Mads Pedersen, Wout van Aert, Jonas Vingegaard, Jasper Philipsen, Primož Roglic, Tadej Pogačar. So that's elite company he's in. I'm not Richard Carapaz's agent. I don't have any financial interest in him getting signed. I just think that deal has worked out really good for EF, and I wouldn't be shocked if he goes to another team for more money.
Wow.
Andrew, anything else? Anything else lingering on your mind?
Now I want to go dig into Degenkolb's Palmares, and I'm of course thinking about him riding his way out of Paris-Roubaix. What year was that? I know I'm doing a lot of this.
24 or 3 maybe.
Man,
no, 24, where he was like in the front group and then crashed.
I think he was with Van der Poel, right? Or was he with Wout?
I think it was maybe before Wout flatted. I think that was the Wout flat year. So it was like Van der Poel, Wout, maybe Philipsen, Pedersen, Pollitt, and Degenkolb. I believe
he legitimately looked like he could have won the race that year. I remember watching that. It was very exciting. And then bike racing happened. I mean, it happened to Van der Poel this year with Pedalgate. It can happen to anybody. That's why bike racing is exciting. But I felt like, for me, so you said John Degenkolb he's still an active professional cyclist? Is that
He's
right?
still an active pro cyclist. Has a contract through the end of next year.
With Tudor, or who does he ride for?
Picnic Post and L.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Okay.
You're breaking news. He is like prime Tudor recruitment material.
Yeah, that or full gravel. Maybe he's...
I think gravel's too hard for these guys. I don't think John Deden, I think he would be like, no, I'm not going to go stay in a Motel 6 in Emporia to race twice as long as my races on the road.
It may be nicer than some of the hotels they're staying in at the Tour de France, come to think of it.
It's a toss-up. It's at least you're there for, if you get a bum hotel at the Tour, you're out in the night. You're not there for a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose you're right. But time will tell. We'll see what, maybe they've already made their Emporia reservations. They have an Airbnb with the Chip and Joanna Live, Laugh, Eat placard in the kitchen, the sliding barn doors into the living room where there are 8 privateers arranged sleeping bags.
I also think we're out of the era of pro retires from the road and then just automatically goes to gravel to extend career. I think it's too hard.
Well, they have to go to age group riding after that.
Yeah. You get a nice 6-figure deal from your bike brand to do age group racing. Also on Team Picnic Post and L, no one remembers this, but they did not get a 3-year contract or 3-year license to be a World Tour team. So their license is up at the end of the year. And they're almost outside the top 30 in the UCI points rankings. Unclear to me what happens to that license if they cannot score enough points to qualify. So
can I taste that first?
Keep an eye on that.
Can I have a taste of it? Sorry, when they bring the bag of chemo to you, they kind of present it to you like you're getting a...
Yeah, and I have to taste it.
I have to tell you, you know that it's mandatory. I tell you that I don't drink, right? Like you have to tell people that. However, if I did, the chemo process would be similar to being presented with a bottle of wine at a restaurant. Then you get your first taste, and then they give you the rest of the infusion.
You're like, sorry, this chemo is turned. I can't accept it. And then you get into I watched someone get a bottle of wine, and then we're like, it was expensive, and like, yeah, I'm sorry, like it's turned. We can't take it. And then they were like, no, you're taking it.
Really?
Yeah, super awkward.
Dude, that's amazing. I didn't get to ask you this, Spence. During your time in the UK, did you eat any chips?
Like French fries?
Yeah,
or
correct.
crisps.
Did you go to a Chippy? Yeah, you got down?
I'm always at the Chippy. I'm living at the Chippy. Good. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Is it too early for us to start talking about, on the other side of this, adult contemporary gravel world tour likely coming back sometime in mid-2027? And when it does, there, of course, will be the Shakeout Ride World Tour. I don't know if this is a 2027 endeavor or not. We would like to let you, the listeners, know if you are a current or former World Tour rider, or alternately, if you have an FTP of 6 watts per kilo or higher and can substantiate that with authentic data files, you may be eligible to join our Domestique program when we target a 25-mile race at a select gravel event.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we're about to bring World Tour team racing to the shortest distance offered at a major gravel event. We can't reveal which one yet. You can DM me at HardwayPod to let me know, and I'll have my team validate your data. And then Spencer and I will, it may be a let the road decide kind of situation. I know your form's a little better than mine at the moment due to the hit I've taken on my hematocrit.
I definitely don't think we let the road. We decide, because I think we want everyone to be stronger than us, but we just make them do 5 mile. We get 4 people doing 5 mile long poles for us.
Right.
So it's just like they're riding as hard as they can for 5 miles, pull off. We have our next one, and then Maybe we have to do the last 5 miles by ourselves, but that's got to be the format. And we're going to revolutionize. What do we even call this? Like the mini course at gravel races?
I think we call it the amuse-bouche.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
This is a real thing. Look, we might not do this, but this is a real thing that will happen. People will start going around and targeting these.
I think that it's going to happen. You heard it here first. Yeah.
Yes. It's an inefficiency that's waiting to be exploited. I mean, you could put a whole package together for a bike sponsor. I've won 4 of the 5 biggest gravel races in the country, and then in fine print, it's actually the 30-mile edition of BWR.
Well, we're going to revolutionize this. There's some big things in store for 2027 as we go deeper into abandoning our families and life on the other side of the cure.
And there was one other thing I was going to mention to you, but are you, I assume you'll be watching this Vuelta. Are you?
Oh, yeah.
The Vuelta you just let it come to you. It starts in Monaco, by the way. I don't know if people are up to date on this, which is why Monaco kind of got to strong arm Tadej Pogačar into starting the race. But I'd assume that he's circling 4 or 5 days that he's going to ride hard at and use them as training for Worlds, and the rest is going to be active recovery for him, or just get through safely.
I think he's going to win.
I mean, he's going to do that and win by minutes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably what's going to happen. Maybe he might have his eyes on a pair of high-end jet skis. We don't know what he wants to use the funds for.
Yeah. I mean, the race starts in his hometown too, so you got to do it.
Yeah.
You can't not do that. Well, Andrew, we'll let you get back to your very important work of curing cancer or being cured of cancer. I guess you're not the one designing the chemo, but you're powering through it. Anything else before we take off?
Yeah, just follow me at HardwayPod on Instagram if you'd like updates on what's happening with cancer, bike racing, life, and you can find my Substack, always thehardway.substack.com. I've been actually working on a new post while I sit here. My IV is in a location where typing is a little bit difficult. It's in the back of my hand, but I'm going to do my best to bring world-class content to everyone from this chair, as we're doing right now.
And as you sit in the chair and visualize the rest of, let's say, your next 12 months.
Amuse-bouche, yeah.
Where are you imagining the next adult contemporary gravel retreat take place?
You and I are going to need to discuss this offline.
There could be interesting places for us to head to in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we might be bringing it's going to be like the 7-Eleven team going to Europe, but different. But it will involve going to Europe, I think, potentially.
Yeah, I think so as well.
This radical disruptive concept, I'm not sure that the current slate of gravel events in the United States can actually contain the force that we're going to bring.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, and we have to go to a more. So you saw The Dark Wizard on HBO Max.
Yes,
and, he was doing his more experimental stuff in Europe because the only place that kind of allowed you to push the boundaries of what's safe or even reasonable, and that's exactly the same with our gravel stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'll have you on my podcast, Spencer, just to do a discussion of The Dark Wizard. That might be fun. Something that I thought during the scene where Dean Potter's in Switzerland, he's there with the photographer or filmer, and he's trying to do a freebase ascent of the Eiger. And there's that one section, maybe he wasn't doing a freebase because he couldn't fall or he was going to die, right?
Yeah.
And
I forget exactly what was.
Now I can remember. He actually was going to freebase, just the rock was too slippery because there was a cloud bank.
Yeah, he couldn't see anything.
Hey, man.
Your name and your birthday real quick.
Andrew Vontz, 9/27/75.
So thank you.
He couldn't continue because there was a wall of clouds below him, and he also couldn't jump because he wasn't going to be able to see as he was descending on the parachute. I have to tell you, one of the main things that popped into my head at that moment, it was JK deciding whether or not to turn around on Mount Lemmon in 2026. I was like, this is very similar to that. And then it was really hard on his relationship with the photographer. I just thought about us all debriefing afterwards. and then Norma texts back at Pace Ranch. And then, of course, I think that's the night that you and I had the infamous tableside salsa experience with Dan. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that caused a damn near international incident with our lack of etiquette or knowing how to handle the table. So clearly we weren't ready for it. We
put in the work. We're ready in 2026. We'll be able to any salsa experience, tableside, salsa bar, paying extra for the salsas behind the counter. We're dialed. We're ready to come back.
Yeah, do you have a mockumentary about like the same level of intensity about JK deciding to turn around or not? It's like,
it could be that, or it could be the JK do I wear the base layer and raincoat or not? It was such an emotionally intense moment for all of us.
And it's like, so whatever you were thinking about wearing, wear half of it. You're going to be so hot on this mountain. We are in the desert where it's tricky. You don't listen to the temperature. But I also was thinking as I was watching that movie, obviously wild, great documentary. People should watch it. Very dangerous stuff they're doing. But I was like, you know what else is really dangerous that no one really talks about? Descending on your road bike.
I've talked about it a lot.
It's like, it's kind of sketchy because descending last night, I'm like, I'm going 52 miles an hour, like pretty close to a wall. Like this is maybe not the safest thing I've ever done, but it doesn't get the same level of cred as the squirrel suit stuff. That's when the show really ramped up. I thought it was like, this is crazy stuff, like dark stuff that we're watching. Yeah. Again, we can connect offline. I think we really owe this a full hour or two, and I haven't done anything on Choose the Hard Way in a minute because I've been navigating this. I feel ready to come back, and that might be a really hot start. You're like, I haven't been a little quiet over on that feed because I'm going through chemotherapy to defeat cancer. Yeah, you've had a lot on your plate, but yes, that would be I think a great way to get back into that. I think we both have a lot to say about that. Yeah. Well, Spence, it's great to be back, and man, so much coming up. Unfortunately, I know you and JK are going to Worlds. I will not be able to make it. I'll be getting gene therapy and living in Boston, circling back to the beginning of the episode, and We'll see how I'm feeling during that course of treatment. If you are in the Boston area and might want to interact, that might be a period of time when that would be possible to happen near that Homewood Suites in Longwood, I think is the neighborhood. Yeah. Coffee, whatever. See, we talk about tires. Maybe you have the talent to do the amuse-bouche. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll be interviewing candidates, and then we just hope we don't lose JK to the full contact strip club scene in Montreal. Want to make sure we get him home in one piece. That might be the first piece of merch that we could do together is bring JK home, right? Yeah. We went to Montreal and lost him, never saw him again. But yes, we'll be coming live from some of those establishments. During that week, we'll get you looped in on the Zoom. Great. You don't have to worry about missing anything. But we'll talk soon, Andrew, and best of luck with the rest of your treatment for the rest of the day. And get home safe. Côte d'Azur et Saint-Tropez.